What's going on, guys? Real Touch GML here from CodyMadeSimple.com, and welcome to the third part of our tower defense game. And today we're going to be finishing up the series. We're going to go ahead and add in a spawning system for our enemies. We're going to make bullet collision, and then we're also going to fix a little glitch that we found last episode where you can select towers and put them onto the pathways or on different towers. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. So let's go ahead and jump right into the code. The first thing I'm going to do is make it so that we can actually kill our enemy. So in our enemy object, what I'm going to do is add an event, collision with our O bullet. And here in the code editor, what I'm going to do is just subtract a certain amount of HP. So let's say you want every 5 bullets, the enemy will die. So we'll say HP minus equals 20. Okay, because that initial value of global.hp, I believe, is 100. Yep. So it's going to take 5 bullets. All right, then we're going to say with other instance destroy. And this just means that with the object ID of our bullet that's colliding with us, with our other, we're going to destroy it. Let's go ahead and go into the step event. Create a step event in our O enemy. And we're just going to simply say if HP is less than or equal to 0, we're going to instance destroy. Very simple. Then what we can do is create a destroy event and say global.coins plus equals 20 or whatever value you want. Okay, so very simple. In the create event, we start off with a base HP. It's on the pathway. If we collide, then we're going to HP is mine equal 20. Our step event is always checking to see if our HP is greater than 0. If it's not, we're going to destroy it. And when our object gets destroyed, it automatically calls this destroy event, in which we're going to increase the coins 20. All right, pretty simple. Let's go ahead and play the game and see if that works. So here we are. So we'll go ahead and 3, 4, 5, and there goes the enemy. So now we can start adding towers and so on. So now that we have the enemies actually dying, what we're going to want to do is make a spawning system so that, hey, when all the enemies are dead, let's create a new wave and let's increase those enemy progression types that we created at the beginning. So the speed, the health, etc. So I'm going to do this in my O spawn object. And here essentially what we're going to do is we're going to create another alarm. And this alarm is basically going to get called every 5 seconds, right? So we're going to say alarm 1 equals room speed multiplied by 5. All right, or you could do 5 multiplied by room speed. It doesn't matter. So essentially what we're doing here is every 5 seconds, we're going to call this alarm. And we just do it every 5 because it doesn't need to be instantaneous. In fact, I thought it played a lot better when we had that 5-second delay each time, so that it could give us a little bit of time to maybe put some new towers down, give us a little break from the game. So in alarm 1 event, here we're going to do all of our enemy progression. So first thing I'm going to do is say if we want to check if instance number O enemy is less than or equal to 0. All right, so in other words, all of the enemies are out of the game. And below this, we always want to set alarm 1 to equal room speed multiplied by 5, because we always just want to be reinitiating or rechecking this batch of code here every 5 seconds. So if in fact our enemy count is equal or less than 0, then here's what we want to do. We're going to set our spawn count to equal 0. We're going to set our spawn amount plus plus. So in other words, we want to add 1 enemy each wave towards our how much we create. And then we want to say global.level plus plus, global.hp plus equals, we'll say 10, global.speed plus equals, we'll say 0.1, and our spawn rate minus equals 2.5. Now these are all numbers you can play around with yourself. This is all progression. These are numbers that I've put in previous, and I've found that they worked well. but you can do any numbers you want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set alarm 0 to equal spawn rate. So we're going to start initiating that spawning again. So in alarm 0 here, you can see that we are creating our enemies. So we want to spawn alarm 0 again. All right, so we got global.level, global.coins, our HP and our speed. And we're increasing all of these here. So just with that, if we go ahead and run the game, as you can see, we've got our first wave here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemies coming out. And they've all died. And now we get our second wave. So now we can start doing all sorts of stuff. And as you can see, 6 enemies spawn that time. So now if we go again, there's going to be 7 enemies, and we can actually keep going with this pretty much forever. Alright, now I saw a comment in the last video where if you just hover over the towers, you'll get this radius and this line to show up. And I like that idea. So let's go ahead and implement that so we don't have all of these circles all over the world. So in our towers, in the draw event, all we have to simply do is check if our mouse X and mouse Y coordinates are within the range of our sprite. The best way to do this is let's go ahead and create a script, and I'm going to name it mouse over. And basically we're going to put in a bunch of arguments into the script and then use it in our towers. So I'm going to say var mx equals argument 0. Actually, you know what? No, let's do this. Let's do xx equals argument 0. Var yy equals argument 1. Var width equals argument 2. And var height equals argument 3. All right, so these are going to be the local variables that we're going to be creating in the script. So now we just need to do a double if statement. So if mouse underscore x is greater than x and our mouse underscore x is less than our x plus width, then we're going to say if mouse underscore y is greater than y and mouse underscore y is less than y plus height, return true. So this is going to be returning a true or false. So we're going to say else return false, and I'll explain this here in a minute. Else return false. All right, so essentially what this script is doing here is we're checking if our mouse is going to be within a certain range. So if our mouse X is greater than, and actually, you know what, this needs to be X and Y, apologize. There we go. All right, so essentially what the script is doing is, say this is our tower. What it's doing when we put in the arguments is it's checking if our mouse X, so right here, if it's greater than X, which would be this point here, and if it is less than our X plus width, which is 32, so it's less than this point. So in other words, is our mouse within this range? Okay. And same thing with the Y. So it's very simple. So our Y here, it's checking, is our mouse in this range? Is our mouse in this range? If so, it's got to be somewhere inside of our box. All right. So if we go into our tower here, what we can say is if mouse over, and this is going to be our X, Y, sprite width and sprite height, then we're just going to draw it. So we go and run the game. And as you can see, it kind of works, but I think what we need to do is, because we have an origin set up here, so remember that we've made this the center origin, we need to subtract 16 and 16 in our script. So here we would do minus, actually, you know, let's just do it right here. So we'll say xx equals xx minus our sprite, or I'm sorry, our width divided by 2. And our yy equals yy minus our height divided by 2. Let's go ahead and run that. Bring it up here. So now we get it in range. I hope that makes sense. So with our origin, our x-axis is just setting, we're just subtracting 16 to this, so that instead of our origin being in the center, it's going to be right up here in the top left. Alright, so we can do the same thing. We copy this, and we paste it down to our draw line as well. Alright, I can go ahead and transfer that over to the other towers as well. To do this, you just need to put it on top or above the line of our draw line. Alright. So there we go. Now we've got it all set up. So now let's go ahead and make it so that we can't actually place our towers on the path. And to do this, what we're going to do is create a new sprite. I'm going to call this REG. It stands for region. And I'm just going to make it 32 by 32. And here I'm going to make it red 50. Okay, so there we go. And now let's go ahead and make that an object. So reg right there. And now in our actual room, we can go to our instances layer and drag this on top. And then what I'm going to do is just extend it in our editor. So I'm just going to bring it all around the path here. So this is going to be a little red overlay over our path. And basically the idea for this is that we're just going to check any collision with our region path here, or object. And if there is a collision, then we're not going to be able to place it. Okay, so that's what it looks like now. So if we go into our tower dragged, we're going to go into the draw event. Actually, you know, we're going to create a, in the create event, we're going to create a new variable called color. So color equals C white. And we're going to go into our draw event here. And here we're actually going to draw out our sprite. So draw underscore sprite underscore ext, because we want to put in our color value. So here it's going to be sprite index, image index, x, y, 1, 1, 0. Our color is going to be color, and our alpha is going to be 1. Very simple stuff. In the step event, what we're going to do is we're just going to say if place meeting x comma y with our O region, then we want to set the color to equal C red, else color equals C white. So now when we left press, in order to actually destroy this and create the O tower 1, we need to say if color equals C white, because that means that it can actually be placed down. Then we're going to be able to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this over to the other towers now as well. Alright, so I've went ahead and successfully transferred all the code to the other towers. What I'm also going to do is go to our O region here and uncheck visible so that we don't get the pathway looking red. Alright, so now we have our basic tower here, and we try to put it on the path, and we can't actually do that. So go ahead and put it there. So now we've got our tower. Put this one here, and this works as well. So pretty basic code. I'll go ahead and go over it real quick with you. So in our dragged, what we're doing is we're setting a base color to C white. Now that's the default color in GameMaker. So if anything's white, it's going to be its normal color values. In the step event, we're seeing if we are place meeting this object, which is just a inbuilt function in GameMaker to show if there's a collision with our O region. We're going to set the color to red. If we're not colliding with it at all, we're going to default it to white. In the draw event, we're drawing out our sprite. Everything's the same, X scale, Y scale, rotation, except down here in our parameter, we want our color to equal our color variable. So it actually changed colors. Then we're checking, hey, if our color is white, which means we're not colliding, because if we were colliding, it would be red. Then we're going to go ahead and pop this down. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same thing with our towers. So in our O tower 1 dragged, technically what we can do is we can say if place meeting with our O region. We could say or place meeting with our O tower 1, O tower 2, O tower 3. But we could do, to just make it easier, is we could create a new object. We could call it O tower parent. No sprite or anything like that. And then we can make each tower and make it a parent. So O tower parent. So in other words, all of these towers are now what's called childs or children to our O tower parent. So whenever we refer to our O tower parent object, we're going to be changing up the code in our O tower 1, O tower 2, and O tower 3. So if you go down here, we could take a look and we could see our children right here. So what this means is that in our O tower 1D, what we can do is say if place meeting XY with our O reg, what we can do is say or place meeting X comma Y O tower parent. Okay, so I'll copy this and I'll put it down for the others as well. And let's run the game. So here we go, we have our tower. And we could place it down here, and we can't place it here. We could place it right next to it. So now we don't have the ability to place our towers on top of each other or in the pathway. All right, so our final step here is we're going to create the GUI so we can see how many coins we have and also what level we're on. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in our O spawn object. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and go to the draw event. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change this. And I'm going to hit draw GUI. What this is going to do is it's going to, no matter what the depth is of our object, it's going to draw it on the top surface. So essentially nothing will ever be in front of it. So what I can do is just set up a couple default values here. So draw set color, we'll do it black. We'll do draw text. I'll do it at X10, Y10, and then I'll say coins plus string global.coins. And we're using that string method that we used last time. And then here we'll say level plus string global.level. And then we're going to always draw set color back to see white. So now let's run the game. So here we are. It's a little bit in the pathway there, but you could fix that. So now here we have our coins going up. Let's go ahead and pop one right there as well. So we kind of have unlimited coins here, so we could do whatever we want. Pop in a bunch here. And we pretty much have a finished game. Now, what you could do for the game over, so if an enemy gets to the end of the path, I'm not going to do it in this series because it's pretty simple and that's all sort of based on what you want to do with menu systems and things like that. Right here, we're just getting the logic of the gameplay. But what you could do is just check if the enemy path underscore end function, you could do whatever you'd like. So you could drain health down if you want to have a global health, or you can say game over and bring them to a main menu system. You could do whatever you like. But we here have a finished game now. So leave a like, go and subscribe, go to codingmadesimple.com to learn more about programming. And I hope you guys had fun learning. Peace.